Okay, we're good, we're here, we're alive. It's alive. Good morning, good morning. I couldn't figure out how to share that you're live on YouTube on Instagram. Presumably that's because Instagram hates YouTube and YouTube hates Instagram. That's probably accurate, is it? I know someone can correct me if I'm wrong there. Happy Friday, people. Yeah, I'm just gonna do this the old-fashioned way, and well, the old-fashioned way, as anybody has seen any of these live streams, will know that I it's like old man gets angry at technology time, because live broadcasting, when you're trying to do things like work on Logic and view screens and stuff, is, it's complicated. It's complicated, man. So yeah, I'm just gonna ignore Instagram. I'll figure that out another time. Welcome. And have we anybody come along? Say hello. So yeah, I Spitfire Audio. I've stopped doing that. I keep noticing now when I'm talking into a microphone now, I go, and it's like I'm annoyingly ASMRing myself, which is no fun. Spitfire Audio were running a competition to rescore one of their a new trailer that they made for Colossus, and the prize for the competition is to win the whole library of Spitfire Audio sample libraries, which is pretty amazing. And it's also such a great opportunity to write for picture, because finding projects to work on, to just practice working on them, can be tricky. And especially if you pick films and TV shows that you like already, and chances are you like the music for them already, then it's even harder, because you have that preconceived notion of what the music should sound like in your mind. I'm going to find the link for the competition, and I'll put it in the chat. Spitfire Audio Colossus. Plus, Colossus is a cool name, really, isn't it? If you're selling something, you're like, this is called Colossus. Competition. I'm sure you'll be able to find it yourself, but I'll put it in the chat to let you know what I'm talking about. The closing date for entries is on Monday, Paddy's Day, or Patty's Day, as they say in America. And here you go. Here is the link. Check it out in the chat. So without further ado, let's jump into Logic and hope that Logic doesn't have a shit fit with the amount of processing and sample libraries I'm running. And hopefully all my sample libraries work, because some of them are running on external drives, and it was working till late last night. So let's have a listen to this just without any music, and then I am going to talk you through what I did. And if you saw the live stream last week, some of you will already know where I started from. And if you were thinking, how did you get there from where you started from? Because what you started with was very little, you would be right. And see, there's a man screaming. I have to learn how to label my stuff a bit better. Let's see. Oops. And I've jumped out of my. See, this is, yeah. Man gets angry at computer. Here it is again. Did I? I've jumped into another live stream now. Does that mean it's gone? Where'd it go? Are you back? I'm back. Were you ever gone? I don't know. This is where you need an assistant. This is where you need somebody to run these things for you, because running live streams and trying to talk through audio and stuff. Anyway, this is the trailer as is, with no music, and let's have a little look. Okay, there's still some audio coming through there, so I'll try and get rid of that for you. Aha, a little bit of sound effect snuck in there, sneaky devil. Okay, this is it with no music. Very cool. Whoever made this is just, it looks great. You can kind of picture in your head where it's going, really, can't you? Ah, see, computer says no. That's mad. I wasn't even playing anything. This might happen a little bit. I'm still trying to figure out how to get Logic to run efficiently. Anyway, I'll shut up now. Look, I'm about to get eaten by a monster. Ah. So that's it. Nice, short and sweet. Starts with this guy falling off the building, and then ends with everybody being eaten by a giant alien creature. So, you know, straight away your mind goes sci-fi tropes and things like that. So my first reaction was, how do I break up the scene into manageable chunks? So first of all, one of the things they said in the ad, oh no, I pressed the wrong button again. Ah, yes. One of the things that they said in the trailer was, feel free to use sound design or anything like that. And that was my first initial thought. So I thought, man falling off a building, plenty of room for sound design, and the minute he lands, boom, that's when I'm going to enter with the music. So then I was thinking, how can you break it down further? So from here up until it rounds the building. So there's the first kind of scene up until here. So you're thinking kind of heist. That's like heist music, or kind of Inception, or kind of Christopher Nolan-y, because they have the weird mask and the weird backpack. And it's a bank. So then it kind of comes out into this more dystopian. Suddenly there's, what are they, flamingos. You get a Last of Us vibe, and very Last of Us, actually. And you're thinking kind of Outbreak. Wow, that's embarrassing. Wow. Excuse me. Hope nobody saw that. So you get some flamingos. Then it kind of pulls back to shots fired. So you have man falling, first scene, and then second scene of Last of Us, and then third scene is this shot being fired through a window by hazmat lady. It looks like a lady. Back through the ambulance. Why she's firing through an ambulance, I don't know. Presumably there's a big giant something behind us. We don't know that yet. Then onto the street. Here's the military. And from here it goes all out rage monsters and warfare and crazy. So that's how I was going to break it down. So sound design, man falls. Beginning. Second scene. Third scene. Excuse me. Now I knew I wanted something to happen when it came through this window as well, which is obviously, it's a massive transition. So I had an idea here. And then from when we see the soldiers and find out, okay, it's a monster thing. That's when shit hits the fan and we want to throw everything we can at it. So how did I approach it? So I figured out that I wanted the music to start from here. So 7 seconds in. And let's go with where my original composer piano. So composer piano is where I started. And that sounded like this. Actually, before we get into a bit more backstory of how I kind of chose this, I knew I wanted something fast. I knew I wanted an ostinato, which is like a repeating pattern. And I knew I wanted to make it in some sort of odd meter. So I picked 7 because the cool thing about 7 is you have a bar 4 and you have a bar 3. Not really. You have, you've 3 beats and 4 beats, and you can divvy up those beats however you want. So it gives you, even though you're doing an ostinato, which is a repeating figure, it means that you can change up basically the same material in loads of different ways. That's kind of the thinking I was having in my 7/8 ostinato. So here's the first composer piano. This is the initial idea, which won't play now, of course, because computers. And why aren't you playing? Now I have to figure, this is the joy of live streams. Thanks, Orlando. Yeah, it is good practice. And this is deciding not to play for some reason. Because something is muted somewhere. Yeah, the hybrids are muted. That's why. The hybrids are muted. That's my new album title. So yeah. And then that brings us up, see here in the little corner, it brings us up to the bullet hole coming through here, which I knew was going to be, it's a bit of a trope, but a choir, And then we're back in to the ostinato. And the other kind of initial idea I had was in the percussion. So, why are you muted? You should be unmuted. And I knew I wanted kind of big, bombastic, trailer type percussion for the end. And I have to hand it to Spitfire. They do have some of that. So then obviously you want the big crescendo out here. Dum. And for the Colossus reveal, which we call it, I had the melody, which I borrowed from the chorus melody. If I can find it now, I put it in hybrids, I think. It should be here under the Celesta, what do you like to call it? The Crow Hill Company, they do a great version of it. I think it's my favorite Crow Hill Company plugin, and it is free, or it was free. It's part of their vaults section, and I think I've used it on pretty much everything. I absolutely love it. And it has this melody. So all the reverb and the delay is built into the effect as well, which is great because you don't have to go messing around trying to find the exact reverb and delay later on. So they were the bare bones. So this melody came from the chorus melody, very simple. Da, 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 da. And that appears in each of the little sections, apart from the initial section of the man falling. And yeah, I knew that was going to be sound design, so I knew that I wanted to sound design that. So then it was a matter of splitting up the ostinatos into different things. And I knew that this final section, when it gets back onto the street, was going to be the big one. So to start it off and to give a little bit of a kind of a matrixy vibe, I used the Universal Audio Mini Moog, which is a synthesizer, and it is here somewhere, probably in my hybrids. Aha, I have it under a sine wave helper, which is usually what I am. I'll usually put that under the bass just to kind of help things along a little bit. So I'm just going to call it the Mini Moog for today. So exact same ostinato from the Composer piano, which is now, I'm going to retire this because I just used it as a reference for the later things. But we now have the Mini Moog doing its job. So the great thing about ostinatos in odd meters is you can accent different parts of the ostinato. So because this is in 7, I had it a group of 3, and then 2 groups of 2. So it was like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2. So you could mark that on like beat 1 of the 3, beat 1 of the first 2, and beat 1 of the second 2. If that makes sense, it'll be ba 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 ba. So you have this kind of overlying kind of feel of 3 beats. So ba 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 ba. Let's see if I can actually get that right. So with the metronome. Anyway, that's what I was going for. I always find it difficult to break down how you perceive rhythms. I'm not a drummer. There's the settings for the Moog. I didn't do a whole lot. I might have messed around with the sustain a little bit. Yes, I used a preset. I'm not anti-presets. Some people hate presets. But, you know, they get you to do the job a little bit closer. So, so that was the Mini Moog taking the main ostinato figure. And after that, I knew I wanted the main melody to come back in, even though this was one of the very last things I added in, because I thought it just joined it more cohesively to get the melody again. So we have this ba, 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 ba. And it comes in just before the transition. So I was thinking about trying to put it underneath the guy falling out the window, but, you know, I think that kind of atmosphere is building up. It's kind of tense, and you're like, what is happening here? I'm not quite sure what's going on, and I wanted to kind of keep that sense of mystery. And I feel something strange is happening. That is simply so. Harmonically, what's going on is really based around D minor, a little bit of G minor, a little bit of F, I think. And for this, it's just a little enclosed melody. So if we look at it here, we got our D, F. I should look at, it's not all N harmonic. So D, F, C sharp, E flat, D. So D and F in like 1-3 in a D minor, and then back to the root, but it's enclosed by chromatic movement. So we have C sharp to E flat to D, which the C, it should be a D flat, but I don't have to give this to anyone to play. So it's C sharp today. Could be D flat tomorrow. Yeah, so that was the next thing. Then I wanted to start, let's expand on what's happening. So I knew that the Moog, I wanted to have something to expand on what the Moog was doing. So I think I put in a bassoon. Yeah. So bassoon comes in, and what else is in with it? What's next in? Let's have a little look. This is how it works sometimes. You kind of forget what I put here. So Mini Moog's going. Ah, yes. So here we go. We had, yeah, joined by the bass and the bassoon, double bass, and it is in unison with the bassoon. And they're not playing because I have those muted as well. So let's just unmute that. Unmute. I'm just going to unmute everything. It'll be crazy. Computer might have a shit fit again, but so it's starting to take a little bit of shape now. And then it's into the new section. So they're kind of backups for the main ostinato. And everything else after that is kind of decoration. And how I approached the decoration of it was I started with my composer piano, take parts of the ostinato and put them out into different places. The woodwinds had a bigger part, but now they just do this little John Williamsy thing that comes in towards the end of the scene before the, well, it's not a scene change, but it's a kind of environment change, I suppose. So just to kind of mark the environment changing. Oh, it's quite loud though. I'm just going to turn down my woodwinds. woodwinds a little bit. Oh, if it'll let me, my computer might start giving out again. Let's have a listen, see if it's going to give out to me or not. Yep, computer says no. Yeah, it's just trying to load too many things at one time. I gave it too much work. You ready now? Have you got your stuff together? There we go. Pretty simple. So how I approached that was I took the last two notes of the ostinato. I just like saying ostinato, and I don't want to see the music for this. I want to say just the MIDI. And moved it to 30 seconds. So instead of going ba-bam, it goes diddle-dum, like that, which is fantastic for woodwinds because they're so agile. Okay, next up then we had some percussion. So the woodwinds and the strings, I'll get to the strings in a minute. The woodwinds and the strings are all Spitfire Symphony. So let's have a listen to the percussion. So the percussion. So I wanted something that was kind of glassy. So again, what I did was I took the rhythm of the ostinato and applied it to different. Well, I applied sections of the rhythm. So here we got da da da, ba 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 ba, and kind of tin cans and things. You know, that kind of stuff. And I mirrored that with something that's a little bit like glass breaking. This is a library I got from Piano Book, Unwanted Objects, which has quite a cool sound. So it's kind of like broken, a little bit like broken glass, but not overly on the nose. Here's the sound of glass breaking. That's kind of what I wanted to get through. And I knew that I wanted this to not start on the first beat of a bar, but I wanted this to come in under the guys, or when the first shards of glass happened. So it's kind of giving you like, oh, there is breaking glass here. And that's when it comes in. So and then we have our little okay, so what's next? Yes, there's our composer piano. We don't need him or her. Non-gender specific instruments. And had the Mini Moog arrive again, and this was doing it was slightly harmonic, but it had more of a rhythmic function. So it's this. So to me, it sounded like a kind of a muzzled gunshot. That's the kind of vibe I was going for. So not quite bombastic, but still has rhythm and still has some movement in it. And then I knew I wanted a little bit of a build. I wanted something to happen between this transition to the bullet hole. But I didn't want it really huge. I just wanted it kind of to build out a little bit. So for this, we started adding brass, which the computer is going to have another go at. And in the meantime, I will have a sip of coffee. So how's everybody doing? Have we any more chats? Yeah, the link, I put the link there in the chat if anybody wants to enter the competition and do the rescore over the weekend. It's much fun. And it's a pretty cool thing to rescore because it's like sci-fi. I like sci-fi. So this was, I'm not sure what this was because it says composer piano. So this is giving all the secrets away. Composer piano. I took nice one, Orlando. I hope you're doing well, man. This one, yeah, is the trumpets doing part of the ostinato, or maybe I tweaked it a little bit. Not sure, I can't remember. And computer says no, which happens quite often now. So there, it's just given a little bit of weight for the ostinato in general. Bop, 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 bop. Give it a bit of movement, and it's adding a bit of support to what the moog is already doing, and the bassoon is doing, and the bass is doing, and the cello is doing. So, and all the strings, in fact, are doubling up on that ostinato. So let's see how the computer reacts to all this going on, which it will probably get very cross at me. I'll get to this. So it's mostly there for support. So it's mostly doing the same thing. The ostinato spread out over different octaves on the strings. So here we just have the high violin 1, and we have violin 2, viola, and cello, which is not firing for some reason. It should be. There we go. So very, very straightforward, and the brass is kind of doing the same thing. Then we have these, a couple of little, just kind of harmonic suggestions, really. So it's this bam, 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 and then it repeats again here, just to kind of introduce, or just to kind of end the phrase. Just give it a little bit of weight. Played on the moog again. Or actually, no, this is the opal morph. This guy here. So it gives it this subby kind of boom, 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 just to add weight and make it a bit more film scorey, or modern film scorey, or hybridy. It's the hybridy. I better move on here because I've like 25 minutes left. And then we're into our choirs. And they had a little bit of help. So a lot of what I've been using for orchestration is, use things to support other things and just move them around in different octaves. So because this is like a steady ostinato, it's all about rhythm, it's all about movement, and then it's all about kind of adding weight where it needs weight and adding pace where it needs pace. And that's kind of what I was thinking. So harmonically, there's not a whole lot harmonically going along. It's a lot of things playing the same thing or playing the same thing at different octaves, really, or little sections of the same thing. Except for the woodwinds do some other stuff later on, but harmonically quite simple. And that is everything I put in there for that first section. So let's have a little look. So your man falls, and we have the mini moog, then bulked up a bit, some percussion to say here's some glass, and then it finishes. So if I was to rescore it again, and this is always the difficulty when you review your previous work, is that I would probably do something a little bit different for this section. My computer is having a go at me again. I'm sorry. This to me should feel a little bit more desolate, and the action and adventure maybe should settle a little bit here. So if I was going back to revisit this, I might tweak that a little bit, but you know, I'm happy enough. And again, it says no. So then we're into this section here with the and I knew I wanted a choir because the transition of the scene is so all-encompassing. You have kind of the logo, this kind of Spitfire logo is like a big circle, I think is right. So it's really dramatic, and it cuts the whole trailer in two for me. And it's nearly bang on the 30-second mark as well. And then you're going into this, okay, things are getting a bit serious, biohazard, emergency, gunshots, this is like what's going on. And nothing says kind of trailer sci-fi like a choir. And here I use the Spitfire Epic Choir, and yeah, just use soprano and alto, just a double, just two voice, and playing around in D minor, nothing too major, and has this melody, da 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 da, and that's what I was going for. So it kind of just suggests the melody again, and just because we have a little bit of space to play around with, I also added this, whatever it is, ethereal earth, which is a contact instrument. Don't know where I got it, found it somewhere. It's a kind of a spacey kind of sounding choir, and I think I threw it up here in the higher register, and it is quite quiet because there's a lot of reverb and stuff going on, and it's just to give it a little bit of lift, a little bit of atmosphere. Whoops. Computer is having a great time with all my messing around. I'm sure there are some tech people who are going, why don't you just purge all your samples, and why don't you rebuffer size and things? Yes, I have, but you know, I've only 20 minutes to explain the rest of it, so you don't want to see me here changing settings and stuff. and talk about the good stuff, the music and things. So then, to kind of get us back in this transition. So just kind of, it really is changing scene from night to day, literally. And to bring us across where, okay, look, we're, that's what it's called, Spitfire Audio, little Easter egg in there. Not quite sure what's going on until the reveal of the tent and the soldiers and a big holographic monster saying, okay, we're dealing with monsters. So that's when you know you can kind of throw everything at it. But I needed a little transition section. So for that, again, split up the ostinato, and I'm going to turn more things on, which my computer is going to be like really giving out to me about. So had a little pizzicato thing and just doubled in the woodwinds. Oh, and I also brought back in the Mini Moog main ostinato. So the ostinato is nearly constant except for the choral bit. Yeah, computer might not want to play this at all, actually. Yeah, computer's having a bad day. Really is. Wow, maybe you will get to see me playing with settings. And there might be some latency. Oh yes. I wonder what happens if you crank up the buffer to like full whack. Computer might crash and you might have to just put up with me talking for the next few minutes. I'll tell you what, while it's doing that, I'm just going to go back to my talking head, and computer's having a spinning beach ball of doom. Is it done? Let's see what happens. And yeah, it's just reloading all the samples here. So how you doing? Are you having a good Friday? Any plans for St. Patrick's Day? St. Patty's Day? Drink some Guinness. You know. Do some rescoring. See if you can win yourself some Spitfire Audio merch. Okay, oh no, spinning beach ball is back. I wish I knew some jokes. This would be a great time for a joke. Any kind of music producer jokes? No. Okay. Oh no. Yeah, computer is really having a hard time with this. So let's see how we go. Okay, seems to have settled down a little bit. Okay, so we're on our pizzicato transition. And before the big drums come in. Yeah, so it's kind of a transition-y thing. Just some pizzicato followed by just a short little hint at the ostinato again. It's just really to get you through a bar, you know. It's wasn't like this is the most intentional bar of music I've ever written. If anyone's watching this from Spitfire, it absolutely was. I put my heart and soul into it. And then we're kind of coming into the bombast, the extra bits that kind of should hopefully elevate it to giant action movie monster scene. So what I did here was on tremolo strings, we have the melody, and we also have the choir, except this is now in tenors and altos and tenors as well, just to kind of bulk it up. and the brass is also playing along that melody. So the melody is here. It's slightly elongated, so it's not da 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 da. It's da 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 da. And then to see us out into the monsters, into the mouth of the monster, we have this big flurry. Which I was going for John Williams. I won't lie. And why not? So we have this tongued... Actually, before we do that, we'll just listen to the melody together. And the percussion, the main percussion that I was talking about earlier, comes in as well. So it's supposed to sound like the melody and then chaos. That's what I was going for there. So how I put that together, I think this is safe to say I've kind of unmuted everything. So even the samples don't really fire properly, which I kind of like. Purists will be like, that sounds so messy and it's not exactly what you wrote, but that's fine. If you're dealing with giant aliens and kind of apocalyptic stuff, then it doesn't matter if the horns don't play exactly presumably because of the technique of the tongue technique of trumpet or the horns being able to play this. But we got all these like overlapping tones, which makes it sound very matrixy, which is great, which is never a bad thing, matrixy. And then this was played on almost everything. The strings, the winds, and there's a few things still playing the ostinato, and then it was to just end with whatever beat that ended on. Boom. So let's have a listen. So we have our pizzicato transition, then into the bombastic outro. Just something kind of ringing out there. Then I knew it was all going great. That the outro section, the finale section, was back to our old friend, the Celeste, this guy. And it just works well to kind of pressure drop out the end. Bam, 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 bam. And the tails of the decay and the echo stand for Spitfire. So that was it for the music part. And after that, then I knew that I wanted the first few seconds to be somebody screaming, which I thought I was being very clever. And like, nobody will have ever thought of this. And when I looked at some of the other entries, it was like so similar and sounds so much better than, sounded so much better than what I managed to do. But, you know, it's fun times. So, yeah, I'll just give you a listen to everything, and then I'll tell you how I went about getting the sounds right. So it's a man screaming, and yeah. Before we get into the man screaming, we had some atmosphere, some flags waving, a little bit of wind, and there was still a man screaming there. So I don't know why this solo has been turned off for some reason. That's most strange. I've never seen that before in Logic. Anyone can explain that? I don't know. Anyway, wind, flags. And then I had this sample from BBC sound effects, and it was just this person screaming in lots of different ways. So I cut that up and automated it, so there was a kind of a continuous scream. So it's several different screams put together, and then I just automated the volume. So he's far away. Doesn't quite work totally seamlessly. I could probably use another little bit of time working on this. But again, these are the things that you find out when you go through what you've worked on. And it's like, oh, I could have done that different, or I could have done that better. So yeah, don't come at me. Or do, you know. I thought it'd be very dramatic to have a scream at the start, and then the very first entry from somebody else that I saw did the exact same thing. So I'm like, oh yeah, well, not as clever as I thought I was. Or we're all very clever. The other thing I added in here was a reverse symbol, not a symbola. I just spelt it wrong, or gave it an extra letter that I shouldn't have. And that just sounds like, let me see, I'm just going to solo it on its own. So sample the symbol, exported it as audio, re-imported it, and just played it backwards. Which just gives an added extra oomph to the fall. So overall it looks like this. And sounds like that. So that is it. Here's the whole thing. If the computer lets me play it, if not, it is up on YouTube, so you can have a look at the whole thing. Here we go. Okay, computer has decided to die. So Spitfire, not sponsored, but you know, come at me. The only thing I missed out there was this reverse symbol. I also put it in just before the choir comes on, to give a kind of a pressure drop for it. You can hear the and that's it. There you have it. That is the breakdown of the rescore for my entry for the Spitfire Colossus rescore session. If anybody knows of any more rescoring competitions, I think Crow Hill Company are running another one at the moment. The Crow Hill Company, if you haven't heard of them, they do a lot of free sample libraries, and they're particularly good. I especially like the Celesta. I don't know how you pronounce that. And I also don't know how to pronounce this one, the Chimbasso. I don't feel too bad because I heard really bad attempts at pronouncing Bowron recently. Excuse me. Glad this is not in person, as I feel like we're in COVID days again. So that's it. That's my lot. That's what I got. That's what I got for today. Next week, I don't know what I'll be doing. If you want to have a look at something, let me know. Yeah. Hit me up in the comments and say hello and say goodbye and, tell me what's on your mind. And I will listen for 2 more minutes. Nope. Okay. Okay. I will see you on the next one. Thank you for being amazing. Oh, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Yeah, I should say these things at the start. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Check out some of the other videos. I've been doing some straight head to video talking lately, and want to do more of it. So hit me up, say hello, come say hi, and see you next time.